Restore It Ralph channel. Today I've got some back-to-back dyno test numbers after changing to a Holley Terminator X system from a stock EFI system off a Dodge Ram truck. This is a 1984 Dodge Diplomat with an eBay GT45 turbo, and it's got a 5.9 Magnum out of like a 97 Dodge Ram swapped into it. So originally I was using the original 97 electronics to keep it multi-point fuel injection with the original truck intake manifold. Today I worked on some of the tuning with the new system, which consists of a Hughes dual plane intake manifold, a Holley 4-barrel throttle body, and the Holley Terminator X fuel injection system. Today was a very productive day at the dyno. I was able to data log with the Holley system. I was able to make a few changes and actually get quite a bit more horsepower, not only from turning up the boost back to the levels with the other system, but also by being able to data log and make sure that I am safely adding timing and therefore adding horsepower. I haven't even unstrapped the car from the dyno since this run. This was with the Hughes intake and 2-barrel throttle body. Now I'm going to see what the Holley can actually do. Alright, so I'm looking at a data log from one of the later runs, and the way I've got it set up, you can pick your parameters that you want to watch. I've got it named Diplomat here. Purple is boost, blue is RPM. I've got target versus actual AFR. That is not nearly as far away as it looks in the graph. I'm not worried about that at all. And then I've got my ignition timing in yellow. So if I look at my boost here, I'm at 4.8 psi, 27 degrees of timing, 12.13 air fuel ratio, 3,800 RPM, and as boost climbs I get up to 11.3 psi here, and that is more than what I thought I was running on the car. Now my mechanical gauge still says 9 pounds of boost, so I don't think I'm running any more boost than what I had been running. I just think that I didn't have a good way to log what I was actually running, and I was kind of looking at the gauge while I'm trying to drive and doing other stuff. So this should be the same amount of boost, and I'll show you why. So when I look at an old data log through HP Tuner's VCM scanner, the way I had to set up the fuel table is I had to cut basically 0 to 105 kPa in half, and since there's only 9 bars here, the top 4 are in boost. So that means I have 15 pounds of boost divided up by 4 bars. So that means there's 3 pounds at least on each end of that spectrum. So when I go into this one here, I don't always actually hit that bar in a data log, and when I did, the bottom end of it could be 7 pounds of boost. So 8 or 9 pounds seemed reasonable, and that's what my gauge was reading. So I have no reason to believe that I am gaining boost with this setup. I think it just was a matter of I had no way to actually data log it accurately. So this was one of my first serious power pulls after tuning on it for a little bit, and we were up at 396 wheel horsepower, almost 5,700 RPM. I could tell that the car was running pretty good, and it definitely revved to 5,700 way easier than it would before. Definitely with the old system I could maybe get 5,400 out of it. You see my torque is doing good and everything seems to be pretty nice. I was having some issues with the dyno. My RPM pickup would every once in a while kind of blip out on me, so that is one downside to the Holley system. And any aftermarket system, it does not have an OBD2 port. So I was able before to use the dyno's own OBD2 measurement system or interface that would go in and track RPM and all that good stuff. Now I have to use an inductive pickup on a fuel injector or a coil, actually fuel injector on my car, because I do not have individual coils. So that may be looked at as a downside. I was only looking at it as a downside because it was acting up on me that day. So when looking at this final data log for the day, I can see my boost start to come up, my engine RPM is starting to come up, and then my commanded versus actual AFR is much closer than what this graph kind of shows. We're 11.78 versus 11.67 at this point, so I'm not worried about that. When I look at this thing, I think I'm pretty happy with the way this thing can control timing. At my peak boost, which is actually on this case right down here at the peak RPM, I'm at 12.1 psi. I'm at 21.7 degrees timing, 11.71 AFR, and I'm going to call that pretty good for now. One thing I did do in earlier data logs, I was seeing that the timing when it was getting up to 12 psi was at like 19 or 18 and a half degrees, and so I went in and I changed that, and it actually got me I think another 10 horsepower at least, so that was pretty nice. I still am cautious on the timing. I'm only running 93 octane and I'm on cast pistons. That the rings are gap for boost, but everything is stock inside the engine. What I ended up doing to change the timing is I came in here to base timing table. These across here were at 19 degrees and I just changed it to 21. I really probably need to progressively smooth that a little bit. I could come back in here and make it a little bit less aggressive ramp from one to the other, but for now I just wanted to try it, and I'm going to go in and possibly give it just a little bit more timing and see, make sure it's still safe and doesn't spark knock or anything like that. See if it likes the timing, see if it gains more power, and watch it from there. But I figured I was just going to try it and see if it helped, and it definitely did. So I am definitely not a tuner, but I'm really excited to play around with this. At this point, I'm not going to probably go in and mess around with the VE tables or anything like that. What I might do is look at some of the learn tables and target air-fuel ratios and maybe play around with that and let the Holley system tune itself and see in the future if a little bit less fuel or a little bit more fuel will give it more power, or at least a little bit faster at the track. We'll see. I am going to ease into this system because, like I said, I am definitely a novice tuner for sure. It was time for the last pull of the day. This was my final pull of the day, and I was definitely happy with that. You can see we're at 411 horsepower, 467 pound-feet of torque. This torque RPM is skewed because, once again, that problem with the RPM, it kind of blipped up there, but our peak torque is pretty close to that. It's just at a little bit higher RPM. Overall, I'm super excited. We're at, over 5,700, almost 5,800 RPM. It would never rev even near that with the old setup. Part of that is definitely the intake manifold. Other part of it is a 1,000 CFM 4-barrel throttle body compared to the stock 2-barrel on it. Super excited about these kind of power gains. I honestly did not think that the intake manifold and the Holley system would give me that much more power. I was thinking that the camshaft was going to be a lot bigger restriction than it seems to be. I think that adding a camshaft to this engine now is going to be very impressive, and I can't wait to actually do that. First off, though, I'm going to definitely take this to the drag strip and its current configuration and see what it can do. Today was a super productive day at the dyno. I was able to data log with the Holley and then make some changes and turn up the boost. And that resulted in a 38 horsepower gain from the old system. So this thing is definitely impressive, and I am super excited to get this thing on the drag strip and see what it can do. To keep up with progress on Dirty Harry and other projects on the channel, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.